Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Well, this time we're coming up on a special event, so I kind of wanted to cover this topic as sort of a leeway to it. Actually, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot that I had made this poll, but then I looked like I was bumping around Flare one day, and I was like, oh yeah, I set up that poll, and I wanted to talk about it after there was some solid results. So there is, and today what we're going to be talking about is why do furries go to conventions, or what is the thing that drives them to go there the most? Because there's a lot of furry conventions these days. There's so many of them, and I'm about to attend one in about a few weeks from now. So for the first time this year, I know I'm a little late bloomer to the party, but I'm just kind of starting to pick things back up again, and I'll also be doing a panel there. More information at the end. I'll probably point out the timestamp below if you want to see that and just skip the whole video. Fine, whatever. See what I care. Retention, Rue. Anyways, I wanted to talk about why do people go to conventions. And ironically, the furry con I'm going to, Indie FurCon, at the end of this month, was the sort of the catalyst for me making this poll. And it had to do with Cassidy Civet being defrocked from being a guest of honor at Indie FurCon. I think Status is now the new guest of honor at that convention now. But basically, this is how it goes, right? So this is the results. I sent that up back in April, and these are the results for this. What is the largest factor you consider when choosing a furry convention to attend? And these are the results. Now, there were about 121 votes, and it looks like that location had a commanding lead at over half. So that makes sense, right? You're more likely going to go to a convention that's located down the block than on the other side of the planet, right? There's logistics and traveling is expensive. So if you can cut that cost by going to some place nearby, then that's great. Or maybe the thing of that location is that's probably the primary, but there might be a secondary reason, like how expensive it is to get to, even if it is far away. Like for instance, Midwest Fur Fest, even though some people don't like its location because it's sort of in a hotel block and near a convention center. It's sort of isolated from the rest of Chicago. Some people don't like that. But some people like it because it's pretty cheap to get to because it's near the airport. It's like a shuttle bus ride away from the airport, which is free, but you should be tipping the driver, but otherwise it's free, okay? Hand them a 5 or a 10, whatever floats your boat, right? But basically, there's not a lot of muss, not a lot of fuss. How easy is it to get to? Like a location kind of is a very broad term, and it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people. But the idea of traveling can make some people anxious, so maybe they're looking for something closer to home, or maybe they love to travel, so maybe they're looking for an exotic location to go to, and that one obscure furry con in a castle is exactly what they're looking for. So it's kind of a broad subject. So maybe another poll might, maybe if we're interested, we can do another poll saying you answered location, but what does that mean? What kind of thing about the location are you looking for? How close? Like what thing will make you more likely to go to a convention? How close it is to home? How far it is from home? Like things like that, the ease of travel, ease of travel / commute sort of thing. So there's more. It's more information that you can kind of glean from that if we go deeper into the weeds. But location won out very handily. The second one, which also kind of wasn't a big surprise to me. So in second place with 26% of the votes, so like a quarter of the people said friends and acquaintances that are in attendance. So, do you know people in the area? Do you have a friend that lives in this, and sort of it can combine with location, right? So maybe you have a friend that lives across the pond, or maybe across the states, and you get to see them once a year, and it's at this gathering, right? Because that person is going to be there. If it's a long distance sort of friendship / relationship, right? I mean, I'll say this is that the one moderator from this channel, who's been a good friend of mine since 2006, that's one of the primary reasons I'm going to Indy FurCon, is because he's an Indiana man. So like I'm having to hang out with him for a bit, because we haven't since 2019, since Worldwide Fur Camp, and so I decided that would be a good opportunity to do that. And so, like, that's a big drive and big reason that I'm going to that particular convention. And number one is, and also, I've never been to that convention before. And I think the interesting thing that the pandemic sort of did to me, everyone has this weird side effect that is caused by that event. Me, it's like I want to try to get out a little bit more and explore new spaces, right? The conventions that I've been a part of since the fandom, since my time of going to conventions, has been basically Anthrocon, furthermore, Midwest Fur Fest, and maybe Worldwide Fur Camp was like a one-off kind of thing. But I would like sort of more of those one-off kind of experiences, to kind of get things going. I think that like in the future, as I start to roll more into the future, my thought would be like trying to find at least one new convention a year, try to keep it to around 3 conventions a year, or maybe 1 a quarter if I'm feeling really crazy, but no more than that. I don't want to get addicted to it, and I don't want it to become a routine, right? I want it to be something special when it happens, and I only have so much travel muscles to work, so that's sort of the ideas and my thoughts behind sort of why I do what I do. And so I think a lot of people also agree, it seems. The cost of attendance works its way into third place. So basically, how much does a ticket cost? How much is the food in the area? How much is the hotels? Things such as that. And as furries typically aren't that affluent, I think that is a very understandable position. It also kind of works its way into location, since travel is a very major expense. So there's kind of like, you can have, once again, like with friends and location being sort of a hybrid thing, where your friends are in a location and that convention's in the same location, even though it might be a little out of the way. Like the cost of attendance is like, it might be cheaper to go to this small furry convention gathering in like a campsite area than it is to go to a hotel, right? Worldwide Fur Camp, as much as there was not much, I mean, as I like the amenities, they were good enough for me. I think that there was a very nice facility that they were in, but the sort of small cabin, sort of small bed sort of thing isn't something that is for a lot of people. Some people need the hotels and the Times Square, right? So some people need that, and so that was third place. And then basically there was some other. I'm not going to go over the other. There was only 5 votes for that anyway. We're getting into the positions where it's a very, very small percentage. Tradition, program schedule, and guest of honor seem to be the next 3 down, other than the other. So tradition is the next one. And honestly, I'll say that before the pandemic, it seemed to be that I was sort of going that route. As I said, Midwest Fur Fest, furthermore, and Anthrocon, and that was basically, I went to those when I could, and it kind of got into a routine or a arrhythmia, right? But I think that's sort of the worst reason, honestly. And I know one furry who lived locally who was very disappointed that he didn't get to go to Anthrocon this year because he's dealing with illness. And unfortunately, it was his first year missing Anthrocon for over a decade. He went to Anthrocon for a long, long period of time. And so that sort of ruined the tradition for him. And given that he's in a dire position, I think it's like it's one of those things where there are some people who pride themselves on that tradition. I know one person who goes to Anthrocon who basically goes, I've been at every Anthrocon ever, and so it can kind of become a point of pride. But unfortunately, it's one of those things where, in my opinion, it sounds kind of snobbery. Now, now here's the thing. I will say this: if I went to every Anthrocon since its inception, or if I went to any convention since its inception and went there from the beginning to the end, of course I would tell people that. Of course, because I sunk so much money to attend, so I've got to get something out of it, right? So bragging about being there every time, absolutely I would do that. But to me, it's I think that the people who just had, it's one of those things where it's younger people who would never have gotten a chance to attend and couldn't because they weren't even conceived yet, right? It's oh, I'm sorry I didn't go to the premiere of Anthrocon. My dad didn't bang my mom yet, right? It can kind of be pretentious, and so usually it's the elderly people that can kind of fall into this tradition thing. And yes, furry is not immune from traditionalism, even though a lot of furries are we're so crazy and chaotic and progressive, but still, see, even 5 people can say, no, I do it for tradition. And I think, unfortunately, it's I'm not doing it. So it's you're not doing it because it's where it is. You're not doing it for friends. You're not doing it because it's, affordable to you. You're doing it because it's tradition. Even if it costs, even if you can't afford it, even if there's no one there you like, and even if the location no longer works for you, right? It's ooh, yeah, it's going to kind of get there. Now, the other two, which I think is actually very interesting when it comes to furries, because we say we're fans of each other, is that guest of honor and programming schedule have very little votes, 3 in total of 121, so less than 3%, just from that, 3% or less said they go for the guest of honor or they go for the programming schedule. Now, the guest of honor one kind of bleeds into if you want to have access to the guest of honor, you usually have to pay the larger, more expensive route tickets. So if you're going for the guest of honor, you really have to know that guest of honor and really, really enjoy that guest of honor's content. And by the way, it's great that not a lot of people are going for that, because you're not going to have access to the guest of honor a lot unless you're on staff, right? Unless you're a liaison, if you volunteer to be their liaison or something at the con. You're not going to have intimate access with them because they're going to be busy doing panels and busy doing things. If you really want to have a good friendship with a guest of honor, you either A, probably should have been friends with them outside of the convention, or B, go to a meet where they show up and don't. It's one of those things. We can do probably a whole video on it where you hang out, but don't behave strangely. Just be a normal person and treat them like a normal person. Because here's the thing: everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and when the guest of honor is put up there, their strengths are put into the forebear. Weaknesses are put aside. You may find that the person that you admired a lot in one position or for art and stuff like that may not be so great in other things, right? Because we all have flaws and we all have strengths. They're just people, right? And I think that it's interesting that while we're fans of each other, we at least have an understanding that it's we'll put people on a pedestal to show, talent, but at the same time, we're not kind of going out of our way to do this sort of celebrity thing, right? We're not like going to a Taylor Swift concert or anything. We're not going all the way just to see some person sing. We're going there for the we're going there for the location. We're going there for our friends and our groups. And that's also why furry can be a little bit cliquey, right? That can also lead to that sort of element. Interestingly, one person said programming schedule. Well, for that one person, I have great news for you. I'm on the Indie FurCon programming schedule. See that transition I just did there? But I think the programming schedule is usually an afterthought. It's like, I'm going to this con. Let's see what's on the schedule, right? A lot of people do that. Maybe they don't even think about it until they pick it up at the con, right? Or you use Sketch. So just type in SCED into a Google thing, and you'll find it. And there's an option to select Midwest. I could do a video on how to use Sked if that helps people. I think it's a useful tool, and I think more furry conventions are starting to use it. So it might be a great thing to sort of write and probably do a video on a tutorial on how to use the tool, because I think that unfortunately with the paper one, sure you can grab a paper one, but obviously some silly thing might happen during the convention, like some stupid person causes an issue where you have to rearrange, panels and stuff like that. So, that obviously SCED causes a SCHED. My apologies. But here you can see at Indie FurCon this year on August 25th, Friday, I will be having a panel at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. In that hotel at what's it called? Directors Row 2. So basically, it's right after opening ceremonies. If you're leaving opening ceremonies, it's basically out the hall and around the corner. So if we bring up the map here, Hall of Champions is main events. So opening ceremonies is probably going to be at main events, and then basically you'd have to take the J hook basically to the opposite side there. The panel room that I'm in is there encircled there. So 11 a.m. on Friday, we'll do that. Then I'll be basically done. That's my only panel, because I'm very niche. I'm a very niche person. I do the one panel, and then I'm free for the rest of the convention. So, I'll be planning out, with my roommate, my friend, what we're going to be doing over the weekend other than that. But I hope to see you all there. I hear that Indie FurCon's a big party con. I'm not a big party person, so don't be surprised if I don't partake in some of that kind of elements. But there is a panel about sober furries, so that's interesting. But it'll be interesting. I'm curious as to see. As I said, the main reason I'm going is because my friend lives close by there. I'll be using a form of transportation I'm gonna go out there, and then I'm gonna carpool. I'm gonna use a form of public transportation to a point, and then I'm gonna carpool with him to Indiana, and we're gonna have a great time. But it'll be good to get out and explore and do some other things other than that, other than my 9 to 5, which is becoming more of a 9 to 7/8 these days. Unfortunately, retention is difficult at work, so and I'm having to pick up the pieces of a lot of things. So always fun. More stuff comes your way. It's important that, and that's why I've been kind of slow on the videos and also slow with updating Flera, and I apologize for that. My hope is that having a panel discussing nonfiction writing and things like that, and teaching people about it, and getting people to know the terms and things like that, and the methods. Over time, more furries can write more passionately about their fandom, write more cleanly about their fandom, and basically, do more things. having more things like maybe even if it's not for Flair, even if it's for a Dog Patch Press, even if it's for Global Furry Television, right? Even if it's for those things, other than us, more people writing about content in the fandom, people in the fandom itself, and its reflection on society, culture, things like that, the better. I think that it'll. I'm only one person. I can only do so much, and the future is always to be delegated, and everyone's time is short. So the more panels I can do, like nonfiction panels, and I'm very thankful for Indie FurCon for allowing me to do that panel, the better off I can be. So I'll try to be prepared. I'll bring some, sheets to pass around and some cards to pass around. If you're here, you already know where World in Review is and stuff like that, so you don't have to pick up a card. That's more for people who don't do that. But anyways, for those of you, this I'll probably have one more video on the back burner before I go to the convention. But I'll see the people who are going to Indie FurCon there, and I hope to see you guys there in any future gatherings. But anyways, thank you very much for watching, and it's very interesting to see why people go to conventions, and I think there's more to learn. Anyways, have a good one, and we'll see you next time.